from inside the house.
And
Exactly.
and Mari,
You
she
finding?
she
Wait,
she
wait,
admitted
wait,
to doing it.
wait a minute. Finding what?
CP.
Yeah.
Now, what did you say, Hardy?
No, saying she said that she did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's evil, actually.
Yeah, it's fucking
And
sick.
she says we're evil. And she says we're
No, they
evil.
always see, like, the reason why I'm not as bothered is because I've been dealing with those kinds of people since the beginning of time, and they they are not okay in the head. There is
The
something actually wrong with them.
the
Yeah,
bride
but a girl
thing,
like
I will say. So Jinx, the bride thing, I would give it like a, I don't know, like a I would give that a pass. I don't like the cutting of the dress. I would agree with you; it's inappropriate for a child.
that over,
My
and
daughter
it's
had
weird in general.
a bride. Well, my daughter.
Mhm.
LOL.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, no, but she was gonna be a flower girl. So, but no, Chrissy's that photo of Chrissy's dress had like weird cuttings on it.
No,
Mm-hmm.
I would
we
never
call
have my daughter wear anything with an open chest.
Was that like some some dance mom shit?
it's not
I
even
don't
just
know.
the
So
front that's open, it's the back too.
Yeah, I would
That
never have
reminds
my daughter
me.
wear anything like that.
That reminds me of like a
I wouldn't even
toddler
let my
using tiaras and
sisters or
whatever.
this show is
child.
disturbing.
No,
If I
it
saw some random
is
crowd wearing that, I'd call pop. That's fucking weird.
extremely so.
Also, I'm gonna make my account private, unfortunately, because I think it's weird people are using me as a profile picture.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Like, I know that was Mossy's doing.
No, no, it's because you're cute, okay?
Like,
Don't
girl
take
had
it
a crush.
offensive. You're cute.
It's stalked. It's like some fucking stalking shit. And always the men doing it. You know it
I
men can't
think
help.
I fictional books and touch grass and probably
On
get
racism?
therapy.
Touch them.
Exactly.
Well, no, I mean, uh, Rita learned about racism and see where that got her.
Where did
Rita
that
needs to get
go, by
slapped
the
in the
way?
face.
You gotta go.
Was in my
I don't think Rita can be racist because she is a person of color.
Yeah,
Can be racist because she.
and I kept saying that. I'm like,
Mhm.
Rita, you're being anti-black with these statements, and she just spiraled.
She could be an agent of racism and an agent of white supremacy.
Yeah, and
But
it's like, girl.
Literally, all the white people are showing themselves their true colors now. It's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all because I kicked her hornet's nest just a little bit. I tapped it and it all just
Disappointing
flies
but
out.
not
I
surprising.
mean, you did say you wanted you
The
wanted
deletion
something
of all bigots,
change.
yes.
You did say you wanted change in debate talk. There you have it now.
Mm-hmm. That's how powerful my words are.
You
With
said your
mere
debate talk was
utterances.
getting too boring. Now it's
I did.
entertaining.
Mm-hmm. With just a few utterances, look what happens. I really wanted Christy to tell me which precinct she's going to, but I know she's not because she's not going to do anything.
Okay,
But
since when are you
I
40?
do want to know how is Rita being anti-black exactly? Because I don't really see that on Rita. She's very educated, so I'm like, I'm
You can be
confused.
educated and still be anti-black. I mean, the guy that discovered DNA was a virulent racist. So,
So what exactly did she say that was anti-black?
did you see the messages?
Not really. I'm not even paying attention to my screen if I'm being
She
honest.
Oh my
accused.
God, Addie, I hate you. Why did crusty milk ducks get
Oh
mad?
my god. She
Somebody in the
accused
oh,
Katie
sorry.
of oppressing her and being racist.
Wait,
Yeah.
Katie can't be oppressive or racist because she's
Well,
black.
that's what we said. And we tried to explain the hierarchy and blah, 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 fucking blah.
The hierarchy or the patriarchy?
No, the hierarchy,
Hierarchy.
like the racial hierarchy. And
Educate
like,
me. What's a racial hierarchy? I never heard of that.
so, oh God, I wish Fel was here.
I'm sorry. You don't
No,
have
it's
to.
okay. So basically, like, black folks, specifically like black trans femmes, are at like the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And so, like systemic racism and everything. And prejudice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like stuff like that.
I get. Yeah, yeah. I got that part, but I didn't know that's what that was called.
Yeah,
Is it called the
so
black
it was
hierarchy
just like
or the race
not
hierarchy?
like the racial hierarchy where like the white folk are at the
Okay.
top, and it's
Okay.
just
Okay.
like, yeah, the black folk are basically at like the bottom,
Mm. How is
specifically
that
black.
measured?
It's like, so think about transphobia, for instance. Transphobia
Mhm.
also affects black cis women as well because we are, well, I'm not a woman, but it's
No, 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 no. That's not my question. Like, how do they measure the hierarchy on race? Like, is it based on crime rates, on who is like harmed more? Like, how is that measured?
systemic racism, how people try to use the FBI criminal statistics against us.
Hmm.
And what else? What is the word that I'm looking for?
I'm sorry for questioning you like that. I'm just
Oh
like,
no, I know. I know you're coming from a good place. See, the difference here is that like you're asking for clarification. Asking for clarification, condescending and just a complete jackass. There's a
so I want to ask you a real question though about this hierarchy.
mhm.
Would someone black like you or Katie? Well, Katie would be at the bottom of the barrel because she's a black femme presenting person, right?
Mhm.
So she's at the bottom of the totem pole. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I would agree because I personally believe that black trans femmes are at the bottom because of shit like this. I also consider, misogynoir, black femicide.
A gay ass game. I need you to be so serious right now. You know what I
What?
So,
love about Apex when I play with like a third random and it's like me and DJ squatting up?
so then
What?
Hi
I'm
Daddy,
gonna
Hold on a
ask
but
second. Is
you.
someone
if that's
talking?
what you need to say to make
Yes,
it really
Do
like
they know
political
that
to
their
yourself,
do they know
sure.
that their mic is
I'm
on?
sure that you can.
dude. What are you doing?
So,
Go.
when I'm like squatted up with DJ and then like
I'm
I
so
turn my mic
confused.
on to like communicate.
Um
I'm sorry.
yeah.
That like threw me off.
You're not the only one. It's a
Sorry, I didn't mean to unmute. I
It's
am
okay.
starting shit with Wolsey in her comments.
So here's sorry, but back to the totem pole question. So who would be at the bottom of the totem pole? Someone who's Middle Eastern, or a
Black,
Middle
well,
Eastern
black
woman, or a
trans
black
femmes.
woman?
So this country was built on the blood, sweat, and tears of both the black and indigenous people. It was,
But when I add Middle Eastern people, I'm talking about the whole white world. Who is at the bottom of the totem pole through the whole white world? Because black people don't make what less than 30% in in the world.
well, I'm specifically speaking for the United States because it's a bit different outside.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, I can only speak for America itself and systemic racism and what have you.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm not attacking you or anything. I'm just
No, oh
trying
my
to
god,
learn.
no, 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 no. It's literally fine. Girl, please. I just hope what I'm saying is making sense.
Okay.
Party?
Oh no, I just wanted to ask nurse if she felt like having this person up who feels like
Anyone can
you
come
know we
up that
don't.
wants to come up.
It's a little.
Mhm.
It is a little weird that that a turf is trying to get somebody up. That's a little weird.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that
Anyone
black
can.
cat person. The black cat person is a turf, and they're like, "Hey,
Uh,
let is me up. Let is me
Um,
up. Let is me up." Yeah.
I'm
yeah,
so
this person Esme talks too much. Apparently, wants to explain to us how racism works.
turfs make
that's
no
that's
sense.
fine if they're off color. Yeah, I don't want a white person explaining race to me.
I
And
don't
then
know.
Esme is like, "Oh,
And
they're afraid to let
I
another."
also can't accept the request because my mod is
Uh,
But
Yeah.
anyone's welcome to come up that
also,
requests this.
also, Esme, not Esme, the black cat is saying that we're afraid to let another leftist up, which is crazy work.
Hi,
Delulu.
friends.
Hi. How
How are
are
we
you?
doing?
Oh
I'm good.
boy, we'll see how this goes.
Oh my god,
Is
I need to
this
go to
is
fucking
is
bed.
this a person that's trying? Are you a person of color or black?
Yes, I'm black and Puerto Rican.
Perfect.
Race. So let's get that straight.
Well, yeah. So, well, I guess we want to be that way. I'm black and Taino. Yeah.
There you go. Thank
Oh,
you.
Hell
twins.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So, I guess the only real contention I have is saying that racism is only systemic. Now, while I am someone who wants to deconstruct systemic racism, we have to acknowledge that interpersonal racism exists because interpersonal racism is what influences systemic racism. And if we cannot acknowledge that and the role that other people of color have in interpersonal racism, then we can't actually fully deconstruct systemic racism as a whole.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I
I never
mean?
said it was just systemic.
Well, I'm not saying that, but like to say that black people can't, I mean, colloquially, we can't say they can't exhibit racism because interpersonal racism is a form of racism. So I mean, I can admit that interpersonal racism at its core level does not do as much harm as systemic racism. We 100% can still show interpersonal racism, whether that's against other people of color or like white people. But I don't really think that have it happening to white people has that much of an effect.
wait. So your premises is that black people can't be racist because they can be racist towards other black people?
We can't be systemically racist because we historically have never had that power, nor do we have that power now, but we
Right.
can 100% exhibit interpersonal racism towards other people of color
Can
and
you
towards
justify
ourselves.
that? Can you justify that further?
Well, yeah, I mean, firstly, we see all the time African Americans who we would call white tea supremacists. I'd say that's a form of interpersonal racism. Uh, if we're talking about major figures, we look at people like Clarence Thomas, his name was Thomas Sowell. I don't really know how to pronounce his last name. We would look at them and say they're racist individuals because they uphold rhetoric that would be considered white supremacist rhetoric.
They're agents of white supremacy.
But we would still call that racist because it's
I
I'm,
would
interpersonal
I'm just
call
saying they're
racism.
them
agents of white supremacy. I'm talking
I
they
would call
themselves. And yes,
them
it is.
anti-black.
Yeah, like, and it is Sowell. You are correct in the pronunciation of his name.
Yeah. So well, yeah, anti-blackness is racism. I'd say. I would. I don't think.
Racism and anti-blackness are not the same thing.
I'd say anti-blackness is a form of interpersonal racism, just like I'd say like anti-Arab rhetoric is a form of interpersonal racism,
Wouldn't that just
Uh,
be
or like how I
xenophobia
say
and prejudice?
anti-Semitism
That's what I'm
can
thinking.
maybe be considered, but
yeah,
like
what is this day?
anti-Semitism
I'm
is
not
more complicated.
understanding the need to make everybody racist.
I don't know why
For
that's so
real,
Well,
right?
funny.
Because that's what it
well,
comes
let me
I'm
down
get
to.
still
this
not
straight.
understanding.
Essentially, you're saying that
Wait,
everybody can be racist.
yeah,
Well, no,
because
because I'm
wait,
making.
pause.
Yeah.
Can we pause for a second?
Yeah.
Because if we're just when we use the word racist, that literally means someone who has more power than someone else, that can be oppressed to someone else
Well,
based on the color of their skin.
there's so again,
Not
I
so
made
much
the
the color of
separation.
their skin, but of also how they phenotypically present as.
Yeah,
Because race
Yeah.
is just more than skin color, unfortunately.
I made the distinction between systemic racism and interpersonal racism. I mean, we do this with every other form of like when we say discrimination, we break down misogyny into interpersonal misogyny and stuff like societal or in like our corporate, like I think it's called
Right.
corporational misogyny, or like religious, what we call like religious discrimination, how we have that interpersonally, but also on grand scales. I'd say that racism exists on a grand scale, but also exists on an interpersonal scale that definitely does affect other people of color and can come from other people of color. The same way I'd say like for example, we've seen in several Arab countries that there was extreme racism towards Africans, specifically those in North Africa. I wouldn't say because none of the people in that situation are white that it wouldn't be racist. I would still call it racist because one group has more power over the one group is not black while the other is black. But I'm tripping over my words. I'm so sorry. Let me restart that. I would look at situations like in the Middle East that was very discriminatory towards Africans and still call that racism, despite none of the parties being involved being white, because, racism does not need whiteness to exist, if that makes sense.
I would
No,
just
it
call
doesn't
that
make any sense at all.
anti-blackness. What
Wait,
you
I
but
say,
don't
that
know about it.
Birdie?
that Loki that Loki that Loki I might be dumb right now, but that Loki makes sense because in other countries, if we're thinking like worldwide, other
Yeah, well,
countries have experienced different types of racism, and they could be like they weren't black,
My
were they?
thing though, my thing though is like who invented race.
True.
The Portuguese. I believe it
yeah,
was the
of
Portuguese.
course, white people did invent racism, but like, in
It's
terms
like
they invented race, but like we understand what racism is, in the same way that we can look at other older and ancient cultures and point out what might be gender nonconforming. We can look at other aspects of societal differences that existed back then and look at that and say, hey, that would fall under the category of racism if it existed today. Like how, like for example, how the ancient Egyptians treated the Israelites. We could look at that and say, by definition, that would be racism.
um
Ready? Please, I just might be. I'm kind of lost here. Sorry, I might be. I'm kind of lost here.
I think interpersonal racism is like on the same level as systemic racism. I think it's nowhere near that. But again, I do feel like it is a harmful narrative to push that other people can't push that, because if we like take those things, break them down, and not acknowledge it fully, we're being like what we would call intellectually dishonest, and it would be much harder to actually deconstruct these systems if we aren't being fully honest about them.
Wait, but don't we experience systemic racism more than we experience other types of racism?
Well, I'd say we're affected.
We
I'd say
would
people of color are.
experience systemically because systemic racism is like all over. That's
Yeah,
what
of
we deal
course.
more with. So then systemic racisms do happen more than the others. So why would the others premises matter more?
Well, I didn't say that it did. I preface that I believe that systemic racism does matter more. I do believe it. Like I do believe that 1,000% matters more. But I'm saying that we cannot
So then you
deconstruct
can't.
systemic. Hmm?
But if you believe that systemic racism happens, then you can't say black people can be racist towards other black people.
I'm saying they can be interpersonally racist towards each other, not systemically racist.
Yeah, that
And
would be
even then,
anti-black, wouldn't it be?
Me too, Hardy.
that kind of depends on the what we would say
Go.
global societal dynamic, because I'd say like the dynamic in Sudan right now is like low key kind of racist. Even if it's based off false pretenses, I would still say that like what's happening in Sudan and the Congo definitely is a little racist. Or we can look at several other African conflicts that were based off of really arbitrary racial dynamics.
Okay, am I being gaslit or am I just lost? Gassing
okay, here's the thing.
Satan
Like
and party.
I don't think you're being gaslit.
I
It is.
I
I'll give you this.
I
It's a
low
very
feel
confusing
like I
concept.
am being gaslit.
yeah, I feel like this is bullshit.
Oh,
Like, no offense to
Hardy, can you
you.
explain why it's bullshit?
I don't understand the need. Like I said before, I don't understand the need to try to, make black people racist. I don't understand.
So firstly,
Yeah, because it's
I have to ask:
100% not a thing.
has anyone
We
here?
literally don't have the power to oppress
Like
anyone in
racism
terms of
is literally
like
a system.
So
race.
can I ask a question? Has anyone in here ever been in like a what I would denote to being like a critical race theory class?
Oh God.
Motherfucker.
What about it?
Because like this
Nothing.
is critical race theory. Like everything I'm talking about falls under
No.
critical race theory. Like whether we're talking about this and whether if you're in African studies, black political thought courses, all of this is stuff that's commonly talked about in terms of interpersonal racism and like systemic racism.
Interpersonal
Like one of the most
racism?
prominent rivalries in black political thought was Marcus Garvey versus W.B. Du Bois, and that was based a lot on
Why are you
interpersonal racism.
arguing so hard? Okay, first of all, what do
It's
you
not
even
really
know what the
arguing. I'm
white? Okay,
kind of
okay, okay,
here
okay,
to have a
okay, okay,
conversation.
okay, 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 okay. What's the white tea supremacist pyramid?
What is the YT supremacist pyramid?
If you've been in these common classes, you know something that's commonly taught. What is the white tea supremacist pyramid?
Critical race theory isn't commonly taught. I never made the claim that it was commonly taught. That was never the claim.
I didn't say that. You're not listening. Just answer the question. What is it?
I was just clear. I was just clarifying that
What
like
is the white tea supremacist pyramid? That was my question. I said it 3 times. Answer the question.
look. I don't know why you're getting so like defensive,
I'm
but
not defensive. This is the first time I
Tone
came
Excuse
up
me?
here.
police.
Are you
What's up,
serious?
Magical? Real quick, what are your pronouns again?
She, her.
Thank you. Don't tone police a black woman. Don't be weird,
I
please.
wasn't trying to. It's just I'm being
No,
You didn't have to
you
try, you did it.
literally were though.
Me
my
speaking
fault.
assertively because you try to dodge my question isn't
Look,
me
I'm
You
not.
weren't
being
I
even
wasn't
being
dodging
effective.
it, but
assertive, in my opinion.
I wasn't dodging it. But the white like, if you want the answer to your question, it is from my knowledge, from being in these classes, it shows the manifestations in like various forms of attitudes and behaviors that like are attributed to white supremacy. Is that what you are referring to?
What is it? What's from the bottom? What starts at the bottom?
Oh, so you want me to like? I
You
don't
don't
know.
have to know everything point from point. I'm just asking you what starts at the bottom.
I'm dropping white people. I'm sorry.
Oh.
And I'll continue to do so.
I'm sorry that took me out. I'm sorry that took
I'm
me out.
unapologetically black, and you already know that.
Hey, Magical, how are you, lovely?
You on
Avatar.
all these damn profiles, KT.
I'm just saying hi.
Wait, can we
Hi,
let
KT.
Avatar talk too after?
Katie keeps getting bananaed.
Look, I told y'all I have way too many accounts.
Wait,
Okay,
as
I'm gonna shut up now and heat up some food.
To my knowledge, so the bottom,
Wait, wait, wait. Can we let Avatar talk? They've been
I
waiting
was
for a while.
doing a dialogue. Okay.
oh
yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Wait, yeah. If you're like still in dialogue, then please like continue.
yeah, so the bottom of it is usually biased attitudes or something along those lines.
Starts with implicit biases, correct?
Yeah, but yeah,
Or certain sayings, like, for example, oh, well, everybody It's institutional, systemic, systematic, and interpersonal and individual. All of that is underneath the
so the
same
first three
system.
are like interchangeable words and like can fit
No.
under the umbrella. Yeah, I'd say institutional, systemic. Those are all like I don't want to say they're synonyms, but like they
You're
usually function
missing the
together.
point. Continue.
I'm not really missing the point.
Yes,
I
you
answered your question.
are.
So could you explain to me how racism isn't systemic and interpersonal?
Did I say it wasn't? I said all
So
of
what
it
are we
is under
disagreeing
the
on?
same.
So what are we disagreeing
I'm
on here?
saying that it is under the same thing. It is not something that you can break apart to make it seem as if black people can be racist. Because at the end of the day, racism is a system that was built off of white supremacy to perpetuate the idea of a racial hierarchy. So they had the most power in this racial hierarchy.
I
For
know
some
that.
people, okay, then why are we sitting here acting like black people can be racist? Because that's just perpetuating white supremacy.
It's not. No, it's
Thank
not.
you for explaining
It's
it better
not.
than
That's
I
not.
could
That
magically.
doesn't. That doesn't.
It's
So
not. It be,
can I
but
finish?
that
Can I?
no, because I've heard everything you said before I even came up here, so I don't need a whole repeat and a broken record, right? So I'm just gonna say this: when we're talking about racism, we're talking about the entire system. We're not just talking about individual. Individual comes with it, but individual is not just a separate part of it. It's also a part of said system. And when we're talking about marginalized groups, Black people, Asian people, Pacific Islanders, Indigenous people, so on and so forth, have experienced institutional, interpersonal, systemic, and individual
So is there
racism.
no?
Wait, you cannot
Is
say
there
the same
no?
thing. You cannot say the same thing for white tea
So
people.
is there
You cannot
no?
say that. You
I'm pretty sure
cannot
she's
say
still
the same
talking.
thing. You
Can a
cannot say the
racist
same thing
dynamic
for white
exist
tea
without white
people
people?
historically.
Can a racist dynamic exist without white people?
No,
So
So let's say
can I?
hypothetically, you know.
we're not talking about
I just
hypothetical.
want.
Well, it's not really
So
hypothetical because there are
So I
examples
just
of
Well,
wanted to
hold
add
on a
this
sec.
like
non-white
little
races
tid.
Let
oppressing other
Tyson
non-white
speak
I
for a
just
minute.
like.
wanted to. I just wanted to add this like tidbit in here. Also, this is Pisces, 24 Black, all pronouns he, she, they. I also just wanted to add this little tidbit
These are the
about
Pisces, by the way.
interpersonal racism. Interpersonal racism, as Magical already stated, it's literally like a sub branch that comes off from systemic racism, and it literally just categorizes it and literally just shows that interpersonal racism and how it like shows up for like marginalized groups of people. It's not like a separate form of like racism that exists without that exists outside of systemic racism. It's literally just showing how racism can show up in like subtle ways, because as we know that racism is a spectrum of like behavior patterns that can come up from like overt and covert forms.
okay, I hate to be that
So
person, but can you
yeah,
guys?
like
I wait. I hate to be that person, but can you dumb it down and give examples? Because I'm learning too.
So I just
so basically, so yeah, I can do that. So basically, microaggressions is like a prime example. Like basically saying like, oh, you talk well, or you have good type of hair. Like when we're talking about interpersonal racism, it's basically kind of like in the word. It's like on an interpersonal level, like how does that racism like show up from like the average person to person? So it's just showing like it's just basically showing it's basically just showing how racism can come out in like covert, like easy social ways.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
But yeah, that made me forget my whole entire point.
So, do you still hold the same premises, Esme or Esme? Esme?
I mean, I see what they're saying, but I would also say it's not intellectually honest to say that
It
interpersonal
is.
or I let you guys finish. Um,
Me saying it is, it's not interrupting you. Just continue.
yeah, I would say that it is intellectually dishonest to say that interpersonal racism and systemic racism aren't necessarily separate. I mean, they do exist under the umbrella of racism, but they are indeed separate things that can be measured. I'm also disagreement with the concept of racist dynamics can't exist without white people. There are several examples in history that I would look at as being racist without white involvement, like the treatment of the Israelites by the
Could I see
Egyptians or ancient
those?
Egyptians, the treatment of the Africans by the Ottomans.
You keep
I
referring
think there's
to
several
systemic
examples.
incident.
Excuse me,
This
quick
is.
thing. Quick, oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Magical. Go ahead.
And
There's nothing showing that the Israelites were in Egypt.
What do you
Yeah,
mean
and
they're
also the
going
Israelites and the Egypt. Well, also another thing with like the Israelites and the whole Egyptian thing, like that wasn't based off of race. That was based off of like religious practice.
Religious, exactly. Like y'all love to categorize certain things. Like for example, y'all will probably categorize tribalism as fucking racism,
Yeah,
and
that's
that's not what it
tribalism, but that's
was.
not.
Like
Being
Yeah,
being
that's
an
not
there's a
Israelite,
racism.
difference between the tribalism conflicts as well as the religious conflicts that happened back then. So again, you just obviously don't know history at that
no, because
point
we
because you
understand that
don't. Okay, 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 okay.
anti-Semitism.
No,
We
and
understand
but so
anti-Semitism is a little complicated
anti-Semitism
because
can
anti-Semitism
anti
is like an
hello.
ethno-religious thing. Because being a Jewish person is an
God damn,
ethnicity
Esme, she was still
and a
talking.
religion.
Esme, she was still talking. Holy shit.
Phil, bro?
Am I? Am
No,
I?
because at this point it's just giving he's trying to be fucking right without actually understanding. Like
No,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not.
like
I'm
you
not a
do
also.
Phil,
not
bro. I'm
just
not.
say you do not care about racism. Just say you do
Wait,
not
magical.
care
Wait,
about white
magical. So
supremacy,
wait,
and
so
to say
magical
that it's
is
intellectually dishonest to sit here and try to say and do numerous as well as just history, putting all of that into perspective without taking the white man's word for it is not being intellectually
I've done all of that.
dishonest. It's acknowledging the reality
I've
of
done all
history.
of that.
You obviously didn't know
And
the difference
also.
between religious issues. You obviously didn't even know the difference between tribalism issues. You probably can't even tell me how they were able to identify other people of a different tribe. So why should I take what you're saying at face value and take that to be an intellectual truth versus what everything I already know because of everything I've researched. Now, I'm not saying I know everything 100%, but I'm going to say I know more than you do right now.
Okay, so
Also, I
firstly,
just wanted to add in this tidbit when it comes to like Judaism and anti-Semitism, and being of the Jewish religion. That is literally an ethno-religion. Like any race of peoples can like be like a Jewish person. Like, and anti-Semitism is literally based off of like being is literally based off of like discriminating against somebody because they are a part of an ethno-religion.
Let
That's not based off of their race.
well, a
Like, what are
lot
we
of,
talking
but
let
about?
also a
Isaac
lot of.
speak. Let Isaac speak.
Okay,
Yeah, because Esme, I'm not understanding a couple of things, right? You're saying that these words are interchangeable, but that you've also taken
I didn't say that. I didn't
the
say
art.
that.
You quite literally said that when Magical mentioned institutional versus systemic, you said that those things could be considered synonyms. You quite literally said that,
I
right?
said they can fall under the umbrella of
Yeah,
racism.
okay, but that's what I'm not understanding. Because if you've taken the classes, then as you claim to have been, then why are you quoting this whenever we know that this is how it's mainly taught,
I'm
right?
not
Right, right,
quoting.
right. Wait. I'm showing you. All right, great, cool,
Yeah,
right.
I'm not quoting that.
Then yeah, then
Isaac speak, please.
he just doesn't. I don't understand like the animosity that he has.
I don't have animosity. I'm perfectly
Yeah,
calm.
yeah. Why are you still speaking then? Okay, thank you. Anyways, right. So I was in the comments saying that systemic racism exists somehow outside of these. When I would argue that all racism is systemic, we would have to get into like a semantics argument there, because I don't know what you mean. Because whenever you mention systemic racism, it sounds like you're talking about systematic or structural racism, which are not the same thing. Yeah, you also asked us if there are instances in which there were cases of racism without white people. How would racism exist if white people didn't create it, sir?
Just about to say.
Am I allowed to? Can I respond?
That wasn't a question. Yes, I would like to know.
Okay. 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 There's a lot to respond to. Do you want me to respond to you first, Isaac?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, I don't think structural.
Person who made a point.
Well, several people made points before I was allowed to respond. So I don't believe I don't believe structural and institutional are necessarily the same thing. I believe that you can look at both and deconstruct them in very similar ways. The point I was making was that while all of those can be intertwined depending on the circumstance, there are instances in which we could remove them from each other and specifically pinpoint what could be structural compared to institutional compared to interpersonal, so on and so forth. Hence why I said why I don't believe interpersonal racism holds as much weight as structural or institutional, but interpersonal racism still does exist and is something that I feel like everyone can exhibit.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, I would
That's
just
not
like
how
to state for the
racism works.
wait, hold on. I would like to state for the record that
Mhm.
belief and fact are two different things, by the way.
believe
And
and
also, let's also be clear as well. Let's also be clear as well. The reason that we have interpersonal racism is because of systemic racism. Again, interpersonal racism is literally defined as how like literally socially, how racism can come about when it comes to overt or covert means. So when we're talking about interpersonal racism, there's no means for it to be able to exist outside of systemic racism, because there would have to be a system of discrimination that needs to be in place for in order for those behaviors to be about. So my whole thing about it is, why are we trying to like make omelets without eggs?
White
well,
Why are we trying to make
supremacy is the
I
root
believe
of all evil.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I would also say that while I understand that race and racism as concepts, are not they're not new. I mean, but they have origins within Euro colonialism that
And nerds.
them that those things as societal phenomenon have existed way longer than that.
No, no, it was specifically around the Spaniards and the Portuguese.
So is that
It was
Yeah,
not.
it was around
Yeah,
the
I know. That's
Portuguese.
what I said. And you
So that's
saying that it
Eurocolonialism.
exists.
Yeah.
So that was an unnecessary correction because I said Eurocolonialism.
Me
Same thing.
saying that was because you said it existed way longer, and I said no. It was created
Yeah.
around the same time
So
that you quite literally said the
so magical. I'm gonna
conquerors.
repeat. So with all due respect, I think you
No, I don't
misunderstood
need you to
me.
repeat.
So
Stop
I'm gonna
acting like I'm
repeat
fucking
myself.
dumb
We
because now
we
I
you're
heard.
said
actually trying to
I
sit
said
here and
while the
talk about
term
me like
I
Eminem.
said while the
Stop.
terms
Stop.
of race and racism and those
Stop.
concepts have existed since Eurocolonialism, the
You're not
societal
listening.
phenomenon of other groups
The
of people.
societal phenomenon of racism was not happening prior to
Wait,
that.
wait, 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 wait.
Wait,
So
wait, wait, wait.
I think you're kind of misconstruing something,
I feel like
Esme.
I'm being
Let's be under.
misconstrued.
Let's like
I
get
would
some.
like to finish my points without being
No
muted.
one's no one's misconstruing you. What
May
you're
I finish?
basically
I'd
saying
like to
is, and
finish
you
my
can correct
points,
me if
please, because I've let you guys finish your points. You guys aren't
what
letting me
you are
finish.
saying is, you are saying is, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, so I just don't misinterpret. Is you're basically saying, while while the terminology and the concept of race and racism were acknowledged and appeared during European colonial times, more specifically in the Spanish Inquisition by the Spanish and the Portuguese. You're basically saying that the whole aspect of groups discriminating against each other far supersede beyond that point.
Yes,
Is that what you're saying?
yes.
Okay, so here's the thing about it. No, you're kind of misconstruing the contingencies that our people are making. No one's ever saying that the whole line of discrimination and dynamics that happen between groups of people have existed after that time period frame when race and racism were acknowledged. Like, we can all understand that. Henceforth, that's why Magical had provided examples such as tribalism. When different ethnic groups are going up against each other, like, that's a form of discrimination. No one's denying that, but we're talking specifically about race and racism. Race and racism literally originated within Europe, more specifically with the Portuguese, with Gomez Yanez de Zurara, who literally witnessed a slave auction with Nigerian slaves. And then he also enacted and enforces social construct throughout all of Europe. So, like, again, no one's not saying that people haven't discriminated against each other. Like, no one's saying that. But what we're talking about, race and racism specifically have origins within Portugal. So, like, yeah, no, you're saying something totally different from what the actual conversation
they
is.
solidified it through chattel slavery. How do you think they were able to
Exactly.
justify it? They dehumanized us by creating that social hierarchy that made us three-fifths of a human. We
No
weren't
one's
even
denying that,
fully
Magical.
human. Okay, but the problem is when we're sitting here saying that racism in and itself is a system, you cannot take apart that system. You cannot nitpick that system. You cannot do that.
That's how you
Period.
deconstruct systems.
Because if I ask you this, you
That's
would
how you
agree that black
deconstruct
people
systems.
have. Are you gonna sit here and fucking engage, or are you? What's
Well,
the
to say
point?
you can't
What's the
nitpick
point?
systems
You
and
cannot
how you
nitpick
destroy
the
systems.
system apart. This is not
That's
a
how you
little.
deconstruct them.
No. Okay, but you're not
She's you're
deconstructing it right
You're
now.
not deconstructing. What she's basically saying is, and you're misconstruing again, what she's saying, she's literally saying that you can't take apart some aspects of the system and literally try and make it applicable to other areas,
Everybody.
as if that system in
Exactly.
itself isn't going to exist.
Not what I was doing, nor is what I said
Yes,
that
it
it couldn't be done.
was.
No, it
You
wasn't.
tried to
You
make it
literally said that
applicable.
people can exhibit, you said that all peoples can exhibit interpersonal racism, and interpersonal racism only exists within systemic racism. That's literally what you're doing.
Also, you can refer to the societal phenomena of people like engaging in this behavior that you now know to be racism, which I would also disagree with. Because one, again, the categories didn't exist, the hierarchy didn't exist. What we experienced is people imposing themselves as superior to other groups of people, right? Like some primitive form of campism or tribalism. With the invention of race, became new camps. Those camps didn't exist prior to the creation of those categories. So
Right.
yeah, we didn't observe that. We observed like superiority complexes of people's groups over other people's.
Right. We
And that
observed
was based off of
tribalism.
other things. That wasn't based off of race. That would be based off of like things such as, like, again, tribalism. Like
Exactly.
those would be ethnic groups that are going against other ethnic groups. That could be because of, oh, their class. Oh, this group has more money than this group, or this group cooks their food this way. Like it would be multitudes of other reasons that the race wouldn't be far, because one, that would be contradictory. Because how could groups that literally phenotypically are racialized as the same race have like a tidbit against other groups that have the same phenotypes as they would? That doesn't make any sense.
Because like what what everybody can do is perpetuate anti-blackness. What everybody can do is perpetuate anti-indigeneity. What people can do is perpetuate numerous things, but it's not racism.
Yeah, like I pointed out xenophobia earlier.
Yeah, and xenophobia is not necessarily like a power dynamic. That's like a form of like discrimination against people that are from different countries. But it doesn't
Exactly.
necessarily like benefit. It doesn't necessarily like benefit them, like
And
in
you
the
know
ways that
what?
systemic racism benefits white.
Tell me that white people have experienced systemic, institutional, interpersonal, and individual racism under the same system as everybody else.
It's a load of
Well, that
shit.
would be virtually impossible to like say, because we would have to pinpoint in time when there was a whole when there was like a whole social caste system made that was made to systemically like disenfranchise and differentiate and delineate white tea people, which really doesn't, and also on the sole basis that they are white tea,
I'd say
which
other
really
than.
wouldn't make sense.
Sorry.
Well, no, that's not how systemic racism works. Systemic racism was literally made off of the differentiations of different racial groups, more specifically to those people who were not white.
That's
So when we're talking about systemic racism and systemic institutional, interpersonal, and all those other forms of racism, that's very, very important to like keep in mind. We're not saying that people cannot be discriminated against within history, but we're talking specifically to race and racism.
Yeah, Esme, why is it that you are like trying to placate to white people feelings? What's happening?
Excuse me. I definitely don't play people like
But
people
Well,
feelings.
I think
But my whole
I
thing is,
feel
why
like
are you trying
anyone.
to? Wait. You had said something earlier when you had said that there's going to be other factors. I want to know what those other factors are when we're talking about systemic racism.
Oh, specifically in reference to what saying I said. I've said a lot. No offense.
No, I'm talking about what I just said. You when I was speaking, and I said when we're talking about specifically when we're talking about a social construct that was made to differentiate and delineate and systemically disenfranchise white tea people because they're white tea. we would have to find that point in time in history.
I
And
was
then
just
you
gonna
had
say
made a
the only.
context that you had made it.
Oh,
Hmm,
I was just gonna say the only like historical example I can think of would be Nazi Germany, but that's like the only one.
Huh?
that's not race. That's not race.
What?
I
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. When we're talking about the Holocaust, let's be clear. That was based off of, again, that was anti-Semitism and that was discrimination against an
which is
ethno-religion.
what I
And
wanted.
also on
Which
top
is
of
what I
that,
Yes.
wanted to
even
No,
speak
no.
well,
on.
well,
Can
also
Which I
hold on.
wanted to speak on
Wait. Let me
because
just
it's
let
an
me finish.
so
Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. And then also to further add on, when it came to the Holocaust, it was a known fact that when it came, his ideals of thinking, he literally discriminated against other minority groups, including other people of different racial groups, especially when it came to black people and other racial groups.
Queer
So
he
people
literally
and
assigned
the
badges he
disabled.
literally assigned badges to them. He assigned badges of forms of discrimination. Like, so let's be clear, even when we're talking about the Holocaust, we have to understand that the Holocaust wasn't just an isolated like incident. It was an incident that literally still systemically disenfranchised other minority groups, including racial groups, under that same guise of how systemic racism was input.
Can we
Like, what are
yes.
please
we
clock? Can
talking
we
about?
please clock the fact that Hitler quite literally stole pages out of the Jim Crow South? What the fuck is he
Yeah,
talking
I was
about?
about to
Yes,
can I
say he.
respond,
yes, he
please? Like
did
that'd be
too.
great to respond because
There's
like
nothing to respond to. You're wrong.
so firstly, right, anti-Semitism,
Hmm.
right, is based off of being Jewish, which is an ethno religion. Which did you say that
Right.
ethno religion means that anyone of any race can be their religion?
Yes,
Yeah, so that's not what
because you do
ethno. That's not
realize that
what
when it comes.
ethno religion means. An ethno
So wait,
religion
hold
is a
on. Well, hold
religion that
on. So
is.
well, hold on.
So I
Well,
want
hold
to. So
on.
an
You do
ethno
real.
religion is
I'm.
not that. An ethno
You
religion
just
refers to a. So, like for example, Judaism or being
an
Jewish is
ethnic
a
group.
religion and an ethnicity. You can
An
be
eth.
ethnically Jewish, like an
I know what it. I
Ashkenazi
know what
Jew.
an.
Like
We
that's an
I.
ethnicity.
know.
So,
Okay. Do you
so
not understand? Do you not understand the meaning of ethnicity? Ethnicity is different from race.
Are
Let's
we
start
losing the
there.
plot?
And also on top of that, let's talk about when it comes to Judaism. When you can literally be converted into Judaism. You can be converted into Judaism. Like, even though it is an ethno religion, it is a known fact that people can literally be converted into Judaism.
so
So
was so
it's
was
not some
anti-Semitism
isolated
solely
thing.
based off of Judaism or ethnically Jewish people? Because it was based on both. We
It's
it was,
both. It's
okay
both.
then. So I'm lost on where the disconnect is
But
then.
that's not race. That's not racism. That's not racism. Did you like? What are you
It
talking
was
about?
not racism, but
That's not
Schmittler
racism.
took ideas from what was happening from racism that was happening in America. He took ideas from it, but what he did was not that.
Magical.
Like,
Very quickly, I'm sorry, Pisces, but magical.
hmm,
Apparently, Rita's Indian. She's not. Um, she wanted to make that clear.
There what?
Rita's Indian, so she's
Like
BIPOC.
Asian? Or
yeah, she's Asian.
she better stop fucking speaking to me anti black as hell. Fuck.
Um,
Yeah, she said she texted me.
The same
Yeah, the
Rita I
one.
cussed out earlier?
Yes.
Oh my god, girl, you are anti-black
This
as
motherfucker
hell.
right here.
What are you doing here? Oh
and who's
my
Rita? Wait, where Rita
god.
at?
Sorry. I just got home and I just saw the messages.
Oh, um, but yeah, just to get back to my like initial point, like first off, we're talking about anti-Semitism, which is not based off of race. It's based off of ethnicity and religion. So I don't know understand why we're like trying to equate that to systemic racism when those are two totally different things.
I'm sorry, guys. I was driving.
Why I'm like finding trouble believing that you have actually taken classes on this because, or like at least put any type of critical thought when you were in the classes, because I would think that you would know maybe fighting ideologies that like considering that they exist on like a mental level, the human mind is rather fickle. So they not only they attack the direct source of the thing, like right, we're talking about That's why there's the hierarchy that we
Hmm.
observe. Same thing would happen with anti-Semitism. It's going to be attacking the ethnic people, but also the religion that derived from said people. Like I
It's
thought that
literally
you were
to
more
demonize the
intelligent
whole
than
entire
this.
ethnic group as a whole.
Yeah, like I thought you were more than
The religion
intelligent
would
with
be a
this.
part of that.
It's very confusing right now.
Yeah. And also, but again, to even reiterate, Isaac, it's going to be based off of the ethnic group and their religious practice, not their race.
Yes, precisely. No, like I'm not listening to him on the race stuff because you can't even tell me how race would exist without white people because they're the ones who made it.
Literally.
I was talking about earlier with the racial hierarchy.
To engage, Esme?
Sorry, sorry. I thought there was more to be
I
said.
understand.
My fault.
Well, I just don't appreciate like the blatant misinformation because you pointing out like 1930s Germany as if once again Mustache Man did not pull pages out of Jim Crow South, number one, and number two, as if Aryan supremacy is not a specific model of white supremacy.
So again,
It literally is.
I wasn't trying to say that it was racism specifically. To my knowledge, Pisces asked the question of any examples in history in which white people have oppressed other white people for their ethnicity or
Because
race.
of them being white. No, I never said ethnicity. I never said ethnicity. I said, could you tell me a point in time when there was a social construct that was made specifically to differentiate, demonize, delineate, and dehumanize white people because they're white? I never included ethnicity into that conversation.
Then I might have misunderstood your question, and that's my bad.
That's not a might. You did.
Okay, then. Yeah. Then I misunderstood your question.
Because I'm kind of confused on why
So,
you
so I'm gonna
asked.
reiterate the question. So, real quick, magical. I'm gonna reiterate the question. Esme, can you tell me a point in time when white people were systemically disenfranchised because of their race?
No.
Okay.
So then, like at this point in the conversation, I'm kind of confused on
The
why
conversation
I
seems over, to be quite frank.
Pisces.
Oh, my bad. My patience is thin. I understand exactly what you mean, magical. My bad.
Damn.
What were
Now
you
I'm
saying?
gonna say this again. I'm confused on why you asked in the beginning, Esme, why, if we've ever taken a critical race theory, one, I find it weird that you asked numerous black people that were just talking to you about what the construct of racism was.
Did I what?
No, whether or not we took a class on critical race theory, I did find that odd. On top of the fact that throughout this conversation, it just seems as if either you're missing bits and pieces from the classes or so on and so forth, because it does not seem as if you took any of the information that was given to you throughout that class. So I'm confused on why you asked that, like you were trying to be condescending or something.
It was a genuine question,
Why would we
magical. But
need
if
to
you
take a
feel that way,
critical
that's
race?
like.
Why would we need to take a critical race theory as black people to understand racism?
Firstly, as black people, are you insinuating that I'm not black by saying it that way? Because it makes it seem like you're trying to like separate.
I never.
Don't
That
do that.
wasn't what I
I
No.
don't
said.
know.
Don't do that. That's
I'm
gross.
gonna reiterate the question. I'm gonna reiterate the question, Esme, and I want you to listen carefully to what I'm saying. Why do you need to take a critical race theory class in order to understand racism?
I never said you had to.
So why did you bring it up?
Because like they were making it seem as if what I was saying was an unheard of uh
No,
concept
That was
of.
before you
not.
started saying
Well, I'd
anything.
love to finish the way I've let you
Oh
guys
my
finish.
god.
That was before you
That's not
started
what we
saying
were
anything.
making you
That'd
say,
be
because
great.
at that
That'd
point
be
I had
great if
started
I'd love to finish
talking.
talking.
Oh
The,
my
the point
god,
was
bro.
the point was is when we were
Hmm.
talking, it was making it seem as if it was an unheard of concept of interpersonal racism and systemic racism being separate things, and also non-white people being
But
able to uphold systemic racism by interacting or engaging in interpersonal racism.
But this is my point. Is
But if you
one, you
understand,
don't
my bad,
you
no,
don't
Shay.
know you don't know me. That's fine. But I came up saying what I did because for years I've been somebody that has been talking and educating and being educated about racism since I was 16 years old.
Yeah, same
I'm
here.
22. I'm
Cool.
22 years old now. Yeah, you from what you're saying, you're wrong. And I tried to explain to you how you were wrong. And on top of that, it's not about me. I'm not hearing this shit. I actively have conversations about deconstructing YT supremacy as well as educating people and giving them the space to deconstruct. So, no, that's not a concept that's unheard of at all. I actively try to have conversations with other people so I can explain to them how the system is not something you could
No
just
one
break
took.
apart in itty bitty pieces for your liking. That's not how it works. You're not actively deconstructing when you cannot even acknowledge the sole purpose of that system that was put in place.
When have
And
I denied?
you trying to
That's
repurpose that system to make your little white friends, your white mom, or whoever feel welcome is not deconstructing anything at all. You're just furthering along the harm. You're not acknowledging the true harm that's actually being caused by the system. It's not about me not understanding what you were saying. I understood completely because you're not the first, let alone the 100th
you finished.
person that has said this shit that I've talked to.
So,
So no, it had nothing to do with that.
Esme, one second. Give me 1 second. So magical. This is where I kind of like I'm lost because Esme and I are both Afro Puerto Ricans or Afro Tainos. So
So you're Afro-Indigenous.
yes. So
So you're black.
I'm brown.
Look at
You're
Black.
black. You're black. You're
so
black and indigenous.
so I'm this is a learning curve for me too. So like this is why I was asking the questions. It was more like I was asking questions to the panel and Esme came up to educate me on their thoughts of race theory. And so then it kind of turned into a whole thing.
Also, Esme,
Um,
when other people are talking, please stop. Please don't interrupt. Because if you interrupt people, I as a mod, will mute you.
So I will say as a Afro indigenous person, I'm also uneducated when it comes to race theory.
That's fine. I've talked to plenty of black people who don't even know the
yeah,
difference
that's
between
fine.
race and ethnicity. So like, it's not like that's not a concept because a lot of people are able to recognize like the surface line of racism, like people being called the N word or the C slur or whatever. They're able to recognize slurs. They're able to recognize certain behaviors that is extremely common, but they're not able to recognize anything more than that a lot of times. And that's where it goes into educating ourselves on what implicit biases are versus explicit, what microaggressions are, or systemic institutional, how it appears in the healthcare, education, criminal justice, literally social, going into white women crossing the damn street when they see a big old black man. Like there's numerous other things that people don't tend to recognize because it's not taught. That's something you have to teach yourself.
Yeah,
So it's not.
sorry.
No, you're fine. I was just saying like that's not uncommon, and I
Yeah,
don't expect
that's not an
all the
out of
black.
place thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like the most I mean, I will say I was lucky I grew up in the city. So like growing up in Boston kind of like helped most of it. But I would also say that, growing up I did experience some racism, being called monkey and all. Um so like I have experience oh okay, good night. So like I have experienced racism growing up, but then after I got older, it kind of died out.
It's probably just well, the thing about it is what I need people to like understand when it comes to like how they experience like racism. Again, you're Afro-Indigenous, you're Afro-Boricua, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thing about it is when it comes to like racism and how we like experience it, like racism, so here's the thing. racism isn't necessarily like, like the amounts of times that people like you are going to say like negatively, like harmful, impactful things to you. It's literally going to be like the differentiation of like, it's going to literally be like the differentiation and the acknowledgement of differentiation amongst racial phenotypes. And also, I'm pretty sure a lot of people, I'm pretty sure when it comes to like certain people who are, racialized as anything other than white tea, when they say that they don't experience racism, it's usually because they don't go, and I don't mean this as like shade, but it's usually they just don't go outside a lot. Because I can say as somebody where I'm at in Memphis, and anybody who knows anything about Memphis, they know that Memphis is a majority like black town, is like a black city. We still have racism here in Memphis,
Oh, you got me.
especially understanding like historically like how Memphis as well as Tennessee as well as the other rest of the South has been like curated. So it's just so like, yeah, you're still gonna experience racism. You just probably don't experience it like, frequently. It's because you probably just stay in the house a lot.
I do. You got me.
Yeah.
Clocked.
Because when you said that you was Afro Indigenous, I'm like, girl, you black.
Because when I'm listen, when I tell you the only times I do go outside the house, there's not one point in time I don't experience racism. The amount of white tea people that be at coming up to me asking me, "Oh, is that your real hair?" Shit like that, or they be trying to touch on me and shit, and I'm just like, to back up
No,
before I
for
stab
real.
you, little please.
Yes.
Like I don't know, and on top of that, I started going and ghost investigating, and this is relevant, I promise. I started going ghost investigating with some of my friends recently, a little bit more, because I'm spiritually inclined. And when I tell you I experienced racism from ghosts, I was actually, I was actually
I
floored.
almost said
I
something.
was actually floored
Did you say
because
ghosts?
I almost
yes,
said something so
yes,
crazy.
yes. No, no, and I'll explain. So we were at a memorial park, and it was past night at this point, and we had EMF reader and a spirit in like two spirit boxes, and I'm like the only black person in my friend group, at least in that friend group. I have too many,
Oh,
but
I'm so sorry.
so it's fine. They know I'd be putting them in their place, but y'all know me. I be putting people in their place, so they chill. But
Don't worry.
um, me and this other white girl was sitting at like this picnic bench, and we had the spirit box on, and then all of a sudden you just hear through the spirit box, African American. I'm like, what? Did I just hear that? And I looked at my friend and she said, yeah, you heard that. And I was like,
I'm
wow, that's
hollering.
actually crazy. And then that was not the last one. Later on that night, we moved to a different part of the park where there's like different other spirits or whatever. And all of a sudden you hear through the spirit box, black. Oh, awkward. What?
Damn.
Wait, I want to reverse back on what you said with the hair touching and stuff. Is that a form of racism?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, that's microaggressive.
Really? Because I had a coworker tell me that my hair looks better when it's straight.
Oh,
That's
that's,
crazy.
yeah,
That's
that's
Yeah,
weird
that's
crazy.
as
that's
fuck.
that's weird.
I'm like, it's naturally curly. I'll kill my hair if I keep straightening it like this.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
crazy. Wow. That's crazy.
that's microaggressions. That's definitely racism, baby.
When I
Uh,
have dreads, people want to touch them. That's also like really crazy.
Yeah.
okay,
Microaggression.
so maybe I
People
do
will
experience
I've
racism,
gotten
but don't notice it.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's
I've
a,
gotten that's a thing. That's definitely I
yeah.
could say that.
Yeah, because a lot of the racism I experienced growing up, I was not able to recognize until I further
Hmm.
educated myself on like other forms of like racism and how it can, show through people.
Same.
And so like I didn't really know that this one motherfucker coming up to. Well, that's because I didn't understand racism, period, when I was younger. But there was a little white Hannah Montana looking mofo that would come up to me during recess or whatever, talking about, did you eat KFC or drink Kool Aid, etc. Like, I thought he was weird. I thought he was a bully, but I wasn't thinking he was racist until I understood what racism was. And there was just a lot of things that I was not able to recognize because I wasn't fully aware of like the different ways people can be racist.
Yeah, I can also relate to what Magical's saying because I know growing up, even though I currently like live, even though I was like born and raised in like a majority like black area, I went to a majority like white tea like school district. I'm not really gonna get into that. But I just know that when I did go, I had to do like a lot of code switching because knowing me, I'm from a multi-ethnic background, so being from a family that's Haitian, Jamaican, and African American. So I had to code switch between like patois, English, Creole, and AAVE. And so and if anybody knows anything about code switching, especially with like folks from different countries, like we have like these like neutral tones of neutral ways that we're speaking, like I'm speaking right now. And I would get all the time, I would always get the, oh, you speak so well, you speak so well, oh, you must be one of the good ones. That's also like a form of like racism as
That
well.
is?
So
Yo, I
basically
get
what
that
it
all the
is,
time.
so basically, what
Serious,
that
that
is, it's basically like
yes.
it's an aspect of like tokenizing, essentially. Basically, where people will sometimes think of you as like they try to delineate you from your like blackness, as to think that like they can like say certain types of things to you, or they can like see you in the what it basically it like they try to remove your blackness from like the conversation,
Not
essentially.
me being
Like,
26 and just realizing.
Delirious. That's also
mhm.
ableist from the person that said it.
Not me being 26 and just learning this.
It's okay.
Mhm.
Can I ask what exactly happened with Queen for her to be on the background?
Oh, yeah, Queen. There's a video on my new YouTube channel, and Queen actually shows her being racist. Basically, we were talking about what Katie said. He said, then she made because she said unalive all bigots.
That's Mossy, right?
I'm sorry. The
Was
bottom
that?
one, yeah, that's Moss. The Mossy one, yes. No, she's she uses AAVE,
No,
and
not just that. She was also blatantly racist towards me and a couple of other black people that was on my panel, and she
Me
also
too.
was fat phobic towards me in my DMs. So
She's also a white tea woman who tries to escape out of her white tea-ness by saying, "I'm not white tea, I'm Puerto Rican."
yeah, and quite literally the live where she came, she because we were basically saying like, oh, like
I'm sorry.
like you're racist, like what, like, and she would just laugh in the comments or whatever, and eventually she had came up in the panel, and instead of refuting the claims that she was racist, she played, and I kid you not, she played Tupac on the speaker in her phone, so you
You're
were
done.
just hearing, you were just
You're
hearing Tupac.
You're done.
Yeah, you were just
what?
hearing Tupac.
So she based. Oh God, that girl.
Yeah. Which song do you think she played, Pisces?
Oh, it was bad. And
Which
keep in mind, this is a 30-year-old woman.
Yeah, yeah. So all of a
I
sudden
can
you hear
tell she
hit.
definitely looks her age.
Oh yeah. First off, fuck the bitch. Can you click the claim? Wait, what? Hello?
Oh yes, Jen, you're right. I forgot about that. Yes, she asked Katie if she's ever been owned.
What,
Oh,
like,
what the
not that
fuck?
that is okay in any sense, really. What can I get like the what led up to this? Like,
Okay,
huh?
listen. Um, so yeah, she asked me if I've ever been owned. For those who know my channel, it's up there. The whole thing with Mossy, not Mossy, sorry, Lilith asking if I've been owned before. Um, what else was there? The weaponizing. Mind you, I don't know what happened since I left and just now. I had to go do some stuff. Um, there was also her weaponizing a black trans woman against me, which is a deceased black trans woman. 'Cause I guess we're all supposed to know each other, which is weird.
What?
So what's the weird shit she did? Yeah, yeah. Apparently Pisces were all supposed to know each other. She's like, "Do you know who Carolyn is?" And I'm like, "I don't know if there's one name or two. I don't know who you're talking about. Like, it could be a bunch of different Carolyns." And she's like, "Oh, we should advocate for her. You should know who she is. How am I supposed to know who some random person is? In the world or in the internet or whatever." She put all kinds of racist shit, and then she can sit there and try to deny it on Puck's Live.
The
This is a
context.
whole white person too.
The
Mm-hmm.
context is because Katie was standing firm in their stance, and she said, well, how have you saved women?" And that was the context of it.
Yeah, she's like, how have you saved women? And blah blah blah. It's real weird shit. It's
Because she was
really
using the
weird.
fact that she was in the military and had saved some people from like trafficking against Katie.
Yeah.
What?
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. And she's also used. Let's see. What was? Oh man, it was a lot. There's a lot going on in there.
I do believe that this individual has done these things given certain things that have happened, but I
Oh.
won't speak on those right now.
Oh, there's also the first time she tried to call me out for some bullshit. Which is back with the whole Puck Live, which I also had the recording of. She did. Oh, what was
Are you
it?
talking about homegirl up top or the white tea Puerto
The one
Rican?
on top. The one on top.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not talking
I
about
don't know who
Melcy
the one
just
on
yet.
top is.
Yeah, she goes by Lilith or that queen, that underscore queen.
Mhm.
I know a few of us that shared spaces with her before.
Mhm.
I know for sure that Nurse Avatar and I have.
Yeah, her and I were mutuals for a while, and then after she crashed out, I kind of blocked her.
Yeah.
Lilith is
Oh
sparked
yeah.
the name in my head, but I
She.
don't know if it's a Lilith. I know, but
Well, YT
I ain't
woman
gonna
used to be
lie.
in
I
the
know like
military.
multiple Liliths.
Had a tattoo on her chest. Recently got voice feminization surgery.
I don't know about that.
Nah, I
I
don't
haven't talked to
know.
my
I don't,
Lilith.
y'all know I don't keep up with this. Y'all know
Right,
I
I
don't
was
keep
about
up
to say I
with
don't
Okay.
keep
bitches
up with
like
people.
I'm
that.
okay. I'm just making sure. She also said that in World War II she would not have unalived any Yahtzee or Hitler. She
What?
accused me. Yeah, she accused me of being a Yahtzee because of what I said about envy.